At 9:54, we are wrapping up with a very important issue here in South Africa. We'll be talking with Cassius Selala. He's with the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. And we're looking at the issue around the missing key to unlocking South Africa's female economy. A very good morning to you, Cassius. Thank you for being with us this morning. And yes, we are going to be talking about an important key that hasn't seemed to have been used to unlock a very strongly guarded door. When we look at the issue around women and people with disabilities accessing opportunities, I guess you look at South Africa and say that our laws are very progressive. They look very progressive on paper. But why is it that so many women and people with disabilities are still seem to be locked out of the system?
Yeah, very good morning to you and all the listeners of Salam Media. We appreciate the opportunities. I think maybe perhaps let's start with the genesis. South Africa comes from a very difficult period wherein the majority of South Africans, largely being Africans in particular, have been marginalized. And secondly, we have a democratic dispensation which has been in government for over 30 years now. A lot has been done and much more is required to be done. Firstly, we just came out of the G20 sessions where we hosted a government of 20 countries in South Africa. But in particular, our department hosted a very critical element, or rather a very critical session, wherein it looks at the issue of economic empowerment of women. Out of that, there were three areas that we did discuss. One was the issue of paid and unpaid care work. The second one being the issue of economic empowerment of women. And the third one being ending gender-based violence. Of critical importance is the empowerment of women, particularly economically. We know that the 70% of our population largely is women, youth, and persons with disabilities. And that's a huge constituency. But then we can't realize the economic empowerment largely to these three constituencies if we are not prioritizing the needs and the importance of them participating in the economy. We appreciate that government has set aside that 40% of public procurement must be allocated to women and women in particular that are disadvantaged and are living with disabilities. And I think more has been done. There are pockets of success, and hence our call to say there must be economic justice that women continue to enjoy. We look at the rural land. Largely, women in the rural areas are unable to own land because of the economic injustice of yesteryears. But it cannot be the case even today that women continue to be marginalized, not on the basis of them not being able to discharge economic capabilities, but they are being marginalized on the basis of their gender. And therefore, we are saying as a country that this subjects women to inequalities and set them at the back foot while men continue to thrive.
Okay, so you did mention rural women, but we also know that women in the townships face the greatest challenges. What practical steps is government taking to close this gap on the ground?
One, we are saying that we already spoken about the issue of our G20 participation, and we did say we currently have run a program that seeks to adjust or rather deal with the issues of disempowerment of women economically. We have what we call Women Economic Assembly. It is led at the president level, and women have come together to run these projects to ensure that women participate in the economic mainstream of the country, whether it's in the technical side of things, technology, infrastructure, and so forth. We are really encouraging women to look at these structures to take advantage of that. But the practical part of it, it's saying the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence, on I think it's pillar number 5 under economic empowerment, it says that 40% of public procurement must be allocated to women. And that's a lot of percentage allocated. And if you are saying women must participate in the public procurement, already you are saying that 40% must be allocated to women, which means that the 70 or the 60% remaining, it means that women can still participate in that 60%, but 40% must be allocated to women businesses. So we therefore encourage women that in municipalities, in the provincial government, the national government must make sure that there is that implementation of the 40%. But you're also encouraging that As we advocate and mainstream, men and women who are presiding over public procurement must ensure that women-led businesses are prioritized in line with what the strategic plan on ending gender-based violence is saying.
Let's wrap up with our final question regarding the GBV issue. This has been highlighted as both a social and economic crisis. Are current legal protections like the Domestic Violence Act being effectively enforced? And also we have institutions like Legal Aid South Africa and the Commission for Gender Equality. They are under pressure. Does government have the political will and resources to strengthen both these institutions meaningfully?
I think we must first appreciate the government position on dealing with the issue of ending gender-based violence, whether in a form of legislatives or pronouncement that we continue to make on a regular basis. Firstly, we appreciate the president's call in declaring that gender-based violence must be a national crisis. Secondly, the issue of the national strategic plan on gender-based violence. It's a practical document that was adopted by women, and government signed it off to say this. It's a document that we must all work from as a roadmap and a framework that should guide us. Now, in terms of legislation, there are pockets of success, and we must appreciate that there are men who are being sentenced or prosecuted as a result of this heinous crime that they continue to making towards women, abusing them, raping them, and to a certain extent, some kill women. We must denounce this kind of horrendous behavior by men. And we are saying that the demand is high. The Legal Aid South Africa, for instance, is not able to reach far rural areas, women who are struggling to receive government services. And Commission for Gender Equality as well is doing a marvelous job. There is actually a study that CGE has commissioned, which indicate that there's a lot of rural land that women are working that land, but they are unable to own it. And we are saying if we allow women to own land, if we allow women to participate in the economy, we are strategically removing them from the hands of perpetrators of gender-based violence. And we encourage that women who are subjected to these kind of conditions must make sure that they work together with the community leaders, the civil society in their communities, but also the church plays a critical role in reporting these men who continue to infringe the human rights, particularly the women rights, because you can't say we are celebrating human rights while the rights of ordinary women and persons with disabilities continue to be infringed by many of us male figures.
And that's where we have to leave it. We have run out of time. Thank you indeed. Cassius Selala, Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. You are, of course, Head of Communications. Thank you for bringing that to our notice. Till the next time, go well. And of course, it's time for me as well. Thank you for being with me over the past 2 hours. Hope you've enjoyed all the awareness and the guests sharing their insights. From me, Julie Ali. Till next week at the same time, as always, take care. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz.